Okay, I will call this meeting to order, the regular council meeting for February the 27th, and we'll begin with Councillor Harrison giving the land acknowledgement, please.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. The town of Innisfail acknowledges that we are meeting on Treaty 7 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Kainai, Piikani, and Siksika, as well as the Tustina First Nation and Stoney Nakoda First Nation. We acknowledge that this territory is home of the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3, within the historic Northwest Métis homeland. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Harrison. And now we'll go to 2.1, and we will swear in Councillor Harrison as the Deputy Mayor for the next 4 months, March through June. So I'll just ask you to come up, please. Or over here, I guess. So, just put your left hand on there and your right hand up. There we go. So I, Don Harrison,
I, Don Harrison,
do swear that I will diligently,
that I swear that I will diligently,
faithfully, and to the best of my ability,
faithfully and to the best of my ability,
execute according to law
execute according to law
the office of Deputy Mayor
the office of Deputy Mayor
for the town of Innisfail, so help me God.
for the town of Innisfail, so help me God.
Okay, thank you, Don.
Thank you.
What's that? Clap. Okay, we will move to 3.1. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? No? Okay, can I please have someone make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion, Mayor Barkley.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? All right. And we will move on to 4.1, the regular council meeting minutes.
I'll move the council minutes. What's the date?
February 13th.
February 13th.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bates. All in favor? Okay, we'll move to 4.2, the agenda priorities meeting minutes for February 21st. Please have somebody make a motion to accept those.
Mayor Barkley, I would make a motion to accept the minutes from February 21st.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Great, thanks. Okay, we're going to move into our public hearing now. So I hereby declare the public hearing open, and the order of this public hearing shall be the introduction of the bylaw from administration from Manager Shaw, and then we will call to hear from anyone in support of the bylaw, and we will call from anyone in opposition of the bylaw. So welcome, Manager Shaw.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. The bylaw that you have before you is to address or provide a remedy for dwellings that are considered to be legal non-conforming. So first off, what does that mean? Legal non-conforming, say for example, you developed a house in a multifamily residential district many, many years ago. Over the years, the district may have changed, the land use may have changed as well, the land use bylaw may have changed, so you have what's called a legal non-conforming use, meaning that it can continue to remain as is, but if something were to happen to it so that 75% of the value of the building were to be destroyed about the foundation, then you wouldn't be able to rebuild in that location. You would have to comply to the uses provided within that land use district. So what we're trying to do here with this bylaw amendment is to provide a mechanism whereby the Municipal Planning Commission can consider applications to rebuild that single-family home or other land uses within specific districts. And so this gives an opportunity for the Commission to make that consideration. Without it, we wouldn't be able to do so. So we're trying to address remedies so that perhaps it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, then there's consideration given by the Planning Commission. It'll still be considered as a discretionary use within the districts, but in looking back at the previous land use bylaws, many of these uses were already discretionary, so it's just a continuation of that type of practice. So really what we have tried to do here is just to reiterate, address an area that we felt needed to be addressed, and that was raised by a private citizen to administration. So we have done the advertising for the bylaw. We have received some inquiries, but basically this is more a technical type of amendment, and so we haven't really received anything objectively in terms of yay or nay against it. So that concludes my administration report to you.
Okay, thank you, Manager Shaw. So is there anyone here today that wishes to speak in favor of the bylaw? It's bylaw 1470A77. No, seeing none. Anybody wish to speak against these amendments? No, seeing none. Okay, does administration have any more comments to make? Or?
None for the public hearing. We'll certainly come back to it at the time that council gives consideration to the bylaw further in the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Does council have any questions about the bylaw? No? Okay, then I will ask for a motion then to please close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion,
Okay,
Your Worship.
thank you. All in favor? Okay, and then we will move into, the bylaw's been tabled for later in the agenda, and we'll address it then. Okay, thank you. Okay, we will now go to 6.1, and I'd like to welcome the Innisfail Fishing Game Association here today, Dodd's Lake Dock proposal. So please come up and turn the microphone on at the desk.
Okay, thanks for taking the time today, guys. So I assume you have some of the paperwork associated with this. So I guess the genesis of the project was in conjunction with the Lions Club, the Fish and Game Club, have been stocking Dodd's Lake now for the last couple of years. And due to the popularity, the shorelines are quite congested. So we took it upon ourselves to kind of do a feasibility, whether a replacement of the existing dock or an addition of a new dock could be done. After consultation with one of the other major user groups, being the Water Ski Club, we had initially agreed upon a location that would be suitable, which would be to the west of their existing dock. And then, so we went ahead and got pricing and started down the funding road, which we are all the way there now. So now this is something that you don't have. I do have a letter from Glenn Carrot, kind of sort of in support. I'll just read it to you. It says, "To whom it may concern, speaking on behalf of the Water Ski Club, if it is necessary to place a dock for fishing, we would prefer it be further west than shown on the map and closer to the street water inlet. This will allow for less congestion for loading and unloading." Currently, I know it's not written on this map, but I went down there today and did a measurement of where the proposed dock is in comparison to the existing, and it's 65 feet between the two of them where they meet the land. If you can't put a boat in 65 feet, you probably shouldn't be backing one up, I guess. But so the details of the dock that we're proposing, it would be 40 feet long to a T. I know it shows an L on this one, but we want to come to a T, and the T at the end of the T is 25 feet. I have the water depths. I went out and drilled some holes. The water depths at the very end is on I guess to be the east side of the dock would be 5.5 feet, but unless I'm mistaken, I think the water table is 6 inches lower now than typically in the summertime. So you're looking at roughly 6 feet of water. And then on the west side of the dock, it's 4.5 now, so it'd be 5 feet. Speaking to Glenn's letter, the further west you go, the less water there is, and we'd like to have a bit of water underneath the dock, of course. So the dock itself, we had 2 suppliers. We decided to go with CAN dock system, just based on the cost. The Easy Dock system is twice as much. And Lacombe Fish and Game actually has both systems on the Len Thompson Pond in Lacombe. And they said that they're equal quality, just this one is a little more cumbersome to put together. But, so I guess the main points that our club would be asking of the town, that Innisfail Fish and Game, along with our funding partners, will donate the dock 100% to the town. Our club will install the dock, put it together, and install it under the supervision of the town to alleviate any liability on our part. And we're asking the town to secure any permits required for the installation of a permanent dock. This dock, although it is floating, can be in year-round. There's many lakes in central Alberta, including the Len Thompson Pond. Those 2 docks stay in year-round. They're very high quality, zero maintenance. And the last note there is that the town assumes all responsibility for the dock after. I don't know if there's any questions for me or.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley, through to the delegation. The existing dock, or the dock that's there now, that belongs to the Water Ski Club, are they going to keep that dock, or are they going to use your new dock?
No, they I guess because they were the first ones there, they want to keep their dock, and that's fine, and that was part of the consultation that we had with them. And we're happy to place the dock anywhere on the lake that deems feasible, right? But as far as their request to go further west than what's on the map, I just don't think the depth is there, that's all. We're not trying to cause any issues. In fact, if you look in the quote, we've included boat cleats and bumpers so that the club can use that dock as well for docking their boats.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Bates.
I have a couple questions. One would be, since the fishing has gotten quite popular, it really has, one of the concerns I've heard from people that paddleboard is trying to find their access to come and go.
Yeah.
Have you and the Water Ski Club looked at that together at all to see who goes where, or?
I'm not quite following the question, I guess.
It's just that, will it be exclusively for fishing, this dock, or?
No, absolutely not. That was the reason for the
Cleats.
putting in the cleats and the bumpers. In fact, we're intending to put a ladder at the very end. I wouldn't, but I know that some kids go swimming in that lake. So we just wanted to cover all the bases. This is a true donation for all user groups. It's not just for fishing.
Okay, well, yeah, I vision down the road you might have to look at some directive signs to say, you know, that this area is for one thing, or?
Oh yeah, that's not our intent. So
No, I certainly welcome any kind of additional access. The other question I have is the one at Lacombe. Like, I've lived backing onto the lake for 15 odd years now, and yeah, it's amazing to see the activity. I actually personally prefer to see more active than less.
Sure.
One of the things I see though every spring is, as it does thaw out, there's a big ice flow that ends up in the lake, and depending on the prevailing wind, it can head in any direction. So
Yeah, that's fair enough, yeah.
I'm wondering if is it designed to take that kind of?
Not just Lacombe uses these, the Alberta Conservation Association as well. I spoke with Marco Fontana, and they operate docks on many lakes out west, Peppers Lake, for example, Hanson's Reservoir, Dixon Trout Pond. And he told me the only one that they've ever had actually move with the ice was the one on Hanson's Reservoir, just based on, it's so open, if you've ever been there, there's not a tree around it, it's just flat, right? And he said that was the only one that ever moved. But, you know, it's quite easy to move back in place once the ice is thawed as well. So the mooring, the anchors are just chains with cemented into buckets basically, and they cross underneath so that if a boat comes up, you're not going to get tangled up in them. It's quite simple. The anchoring to the shore, the gangplank, there's an 8-foot gangplank, and it's mounted to the top of the dock. So if there's a water fluctuation, it just tilts one way or the other. So.
Okay. So, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming today. I think this is wonderful, and appreciate that you're donating this to the town. It's be a great addition. Or CEO Becker, what do we need to do from here?
Mayor Barkley, the council, the application or the communication has occurred with administration. So really looking for council, your deliberation, whether it's now or later. If council is supportive of the request to donate, you could look at a resolution to move to approve the donation of the Innisfail Fish and Game Association's donation of a floating dock to be installed at the Dodds Lake, or you may be seeking additional information. But from my understanding through administration, looking at Curtis and Megan, that this has been circulated through administration without any issues. Obviously, the permitting logistics has not been finalized. It will be with the installation, but we certainly would be willing to support the applications accordingly.
Okay. Is anyone prepared to make a motion?
I am, Mayor Barkley.
Okay.
Yes, I would move that the town move forward with accepting the donation from Innisfail Fish and Wildlife of the dock, Fish and Game, for the dock at Dodds Lake.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, discussion? No? All in favor? Okay, there you go. Thank you very much again for coming.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. And okay, we will move on to 7.1, request for decision, next generation NG 911 agreement with Manager Leith. Welcome.
So I'm here to request the approval of the signing of the next generation NG 911 agreement. As Council is aware, Canada is moving towards the next generation 911 system, the complete replacement of the 30-year-old legacy 911 system. This will be an Internet Protocol IP-based system, with the benefits being ability for callers to use a wide variety of devices and mediums to contact emergency services, better call location accuracy, improved crash data and telemetrics for vehicles, ability to share video pictures with first responders from callers, and greater reliability and coordination with other agencies. Municipalities previously have signed will have previously signed an agreement with TELUS, agreeing that they had a 911 centre answering calls for emergency services, and that telephone providers would route calls to the agency. With New Gen 911, we're required to sign a new agreement in order for the services to continue within the community. The public service answering point, the PSAP for our municipality is Red Deer 911, and they're detailed in Schedules B, F, and G of the agreement. Red Deer 911 meet the requirements of a PSAP for the new Gen 911 system, with RCMP and Alberta Health Services signing provincial agreements for the system.
Right, thank you. Could I please have someone make the recommended motion? Councillor Dunham?
Mayor Barclay, I'll make the motion. The council approves the signing of the Next Generation 911 agreement.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Manager Leith? Okay, all in favor? Carried, thank you. And we will move on to 7.2, the CAO report.
Thanks, Mayor Barclay. Hello, council. Just really a couple items for your consideration. The report is there for your review. But I would like to highlight a meeting that was held recently with the Innisfail Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce executive board members, a few of them reached out to meet with Mayor Barclay and the CAO, which was held on February the 10th. The meeting resulted in a letter sent by the executive of the chamber with a few requests of the town to consider. The nature of the letter is provided to you in camera, just due to some of the sensitivities of some of the sentences outlined in that letter. I thought it was best fitting for you to see it, but more in camera based. But I did pull the information of the request and put it into the CAO report. So the chamber is requesting of the town to consider providing funding to the chamber to hire economic development consultant Eric Burton from Factor 5 Group to facilitate a strategic planning session with the chamber. Eric Burton of Factor 5 has been a key member of the town in developing our Power Place economic development strategy. They're requesting provide repairs to the current chamber office, which is owned by the town, and through communication with administration, there has been a few previous conversations with the chamber about any upgrades. So we'll continue on through operations to work with chamber operations staff to determine what is the ask exactly. And if it's operationally, we probably could cover some of it, if not all. But if it's more on the capital side, we'd probably have to come back for council consideration. So right now, we left to the Director of Community Services and to our staff to have those conversations. Support the search for grants and provide funding to research and develop a grant proposals. The response back to the chamber from myself, CAO, was we apply for grants and proposals based on the corner of our desk. We don't have somebody assigned specifically for grants, so it'd be very difficult for us to assign a grant support in any formal fashion. But we do provide. In history, we have shared grants that have come through that may be more fitting for the chamber that they may wish to apply for, and that's been, for several years we've done that. And then once a business case has been developed, to review the electronic sign business case as it's complete. So from that request, the administration did respond to the chamber's letter, and attached was that response through an email, and I left it there for your review, and of which basically I overviewed it already. So looking just for if there's any direction council wish or conversation you wish to have to those requests, then certainly be willing to share that back to the chamber. Yeah, and that's my report, Mayor Barclay.
Okay, thank you. And are we discussing this further in camera, or we have an in-camera item?
It's really up to council. If there's any items feeling more sensitive to in camera, that certainly I'll leave it to council to decide. And if not, if it's something more fitting public, I'll leave it to your discretion.
Yeah, I would like further discussion, probably in camera,
Okay.
around the subject. So can I please have somebody make a motion to accept the CAO's report?
I'll move
Councillor Maceros.
to do that, Mayor
Okay,
Barclay.
thank you, Councillor Maceros. All in favor? Okay, carried. And we'll go on to council action control. And if there's no questions, I would have somebody please make a motion to accept this as information.
Mayor Barclay, I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Dunham. Any questions about anything? Councillor Bates?
Just that I noticed there's a couple that have they're starting, we need to move the date back again, and there's nothing there urgent. One that I noticed with interest this week, apparently the city of Edmonton is really coming out after the noise and have passed a bylaw, and of course they have the resources to do it. And I think the first fine is $1,000, and then it doubles for the next couple. So it should be interesting to follow what they do. Just commenting on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Just a question through to administration. Where are we at with our community bus? Has it went to auction yet?
Yes, it did go to auction a couple of weeks ago and did sell. It was $97,500, I think, is what it sold for. So we have received the check from the auction company, and it is done.
And that was pretty close to what your reserve bid was? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion to accept this as information. All in favor? Okay, carried. And we will now move on to 7.4, boards and committees. So there's just a couple of things here. Had to move Councillor Dunham off MPC alternate because he's on the appeal board, and also connection with real estate is a little bit of an issue, or could be, so I will just throw my name in there as an alternate, and I think there's already 3 people on the committee, so I don't see anyone needing me very much. And then the other one is the Innisfail Joint Use Committee, and I believe there was, did you want to say something?
Well, I don't interrupt you, Mayor Barkley,
No, it's
but
okay. I was
it's
just
pointed out to
wondering-
me.
yeah.
Maybe Megan, do you want to speak to it?
Sure. So the Innisfail Joint Use Committee, so this is with Chinook's Edge School Division, and there's also an item further on your agenda for a similar agreement with Red Deer Catholic. And it's actually not an alternate position. It's two representatives from council sit on the governing committee for that board. It meets as needed, so it's not a regularly scheduled meeting. And we do anticipate that whoever is on the Chinook's Edge one should be on the Red Deer Catholic one, just for continuity and understanding of those agreements.
Okay, so Councillor Dunham, would you like to go on the Innisfail Joint Use Committee? And we'll, not as a representative, not as an alternate. Okay, so we'll have Councillor Harrison and Dunham on there. Okay, all right, perfect. So I'll please have somebody make a motion that we add Councillor Dunham and myself to these 2 committees that are highlighted here.
I'll make that motion, Mayor Barkley.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. Carried, thank you. All right, and we're going to move to 7.5. So I'm just going to, so Bernie Haley's family will be submitting a nomination form to the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame later this year. Nomination date closes September 30th. To accompany that form, one of the requirements is 3 letters of support, and I'm hoping the town of Innisfail will provide one of those letters. For those of you who are not familiar with Bernie's accomplishments, they are as follows. So Bernie, of course, has been a long-time Innisfail resident, and he had reached the pinnacle of his sport. He began his hockey career as a young lad in the Edmonton Maple Leafs minor hockey program. He was offered a full scholarship as an elite prospect at the University of North Dakota, and he was a member of the North Dakota team when they won their first NCAA championship in 1959. After he graduated there, he went on to complete his MBA at Michigan State, and while there, he directed the Spartan intramural hockey program. Of course, anyone who knows Bernie and has been fortunate enough to watch him referee hockey is well aware of his incredible ability. Bernie spent 27 years as a level 5 referee. He worked the Memorial Cup, Centennial Cup, Abbott Cup, Allen Cup, Hardy Cup, Canadian College Athletic Association Championships, along with numerous provincial title series. From 1972 to 1978, he was a linesman with the World Hockey Association, doing that in both Edmonton and Calgary. In 1972, he attended the NHL officials training camp in Toronto. I understand there was a a work issue at the time with referee, so they offered him a linesman position, and of course he only wanted to be the referee, so he said no because he was raising a family and running a business back here, and the pay was a little bit different, so he chose not to carry on with that. Throughout the 70s, he was a national representative for what is now known as Hockey Canada and for officials' rules meetings held across the country. In 1972, Bernie proudly represented Canada, and he was Canada's only on-ice official at the World Hockey Championships in Prague. In 1980, he was Canada's only on-ice official at the Winter Olympics at Lake Placid. He was scheduled to referee the gold medal game, but when the Russians were to play the USA, he was moved to the bronze medal game to eliminate any suggestions from the Russians that there could be favoritism towards the US. In 1981, he was Canada's only on-ice official at the World Hockey Championships in Gothenburg, Sweden, and he refereed the gold medal game there. Bernie was also Canada's representative at several International Ice Hockey Federation Rules Committee meetings in Europe and North America, and he was also a national representative at a series of Canadian Amateur Hockey Association official meetings across Canada. Some of the awards that he has received in 1971, he received the Level 5 Referee National High Performance Reward. This is a category for referees that are considered the highest officiating status in the sport of hockey. In 1980, he received the Government of Alberta Award of Excellence for contribution to the sport of hockey. In 1994, he was awarded the Ernie Borick Award, and that's presented for outstanding dedication and contribution to the Hockey Alberta Officials Committee. And in 1995, he was awarded the Alberta Sports Development Award for officiating. Of course, Bernie has also been a community builder. He's been was a Rotarian for many years. He donated his time and fees to organizations who hosted events such as the Red Deer College Foundation, Flying Father Hockey, the Sandra Fee Camp Gold Eye Memorial Hockey Fund. He was also an assistant coach for Innisfail Bantams and Midgets when his son Chris played. In 1988, he was a host and assistant chair for assignment of on-ice officials at the 1988 Winter Olympics in Calgary, and in 1995 assisted with on-ice officials' needs and care at the World Junior Hockey Championship in Red Deer. To stay in shape in the off-season, Bernie officiated ball hockey. He would ride his bicycle from Innisfail to Red Deer for work. He would play baseball and, of course, golf. He continues to live in Innisfail, which has been his home for more than 50 years. And I will end with a quote from Ron McLean from Hockey Night in Canada. We had an official in Central Alberta, Bernie Haley of Innisfail. He had worked the 1980 Lake Placid Games, and he was one of my idols. Bernie was a beautiful skater, long, powerful stride, just like Paul Coffey. So I would ask somebody to please make a motion that we provide the Haley family with a letter of support for his application to the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame. Councillor Wing.
Yes, I'd be honored to
Okay. Sorry.
to make that motion. I've heard many of Bernie's stories over the years, and truly with the generation that knew him, he's pretty much a legend with his reffing and skating abilities. So I'd be honored to make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bates. I also know the family has reached out to Ray Bennett and also connecting him with Ron McLean for the other two letters of support. And there's also letters required from organizations, which they're working on as well. So we're getting things together slowly but surely. So thank you for that. So all in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. And we'll move on to 8.1, request for decision on the Fortis franchise fee agreement with Director Vickers.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Barkley. So the town's current 10-year franchise agreement with Fortis is expiring on September 30th, 2023. In preparation of the extension, Fortis did attend the April 4th, 2022 council meeting to do a presentation at council. It was at that time that Fortis provided an administration, with a letter asking the town to sign that would extend the franchise agreement for another 5 years. The letter is attached for your review. After some discussions with Fortis and council, administration is recommending that council direct administration to enter into the 5-year extension of the Fortis franchise agreement. Should this letter be endorsed, administration will work closely with Fortis in the coming months to work through the steps of the extension. They will likely follow the same process that the ATCO did. There will be a bylaw with some advertising to the public that will take a period of 2 months or so.
Okay, thank you. Could I please have someone make the first motion? Councillor Dunham?
Mayor Barclay, I'll move that council directs the Chief Administrative Officer to endorse the April 4th, 2022 letter of intent from Fortis for the renewal of the electrical distribution system franchise agreement.
Okay, thank you. Any questions around this? No? Okay, all in favor? Okay, carried. And then we have a second motion as well, please. Councillor Wing?
Yes, Mayor Barclay, I would move that council direct administration to proceed as discussed in camera with respect to a net zero approach to servicing future industrial subdivision in the town in partnership with Fortis Alberta.
Perfect, thank you. And all in favor? Okay, carried. And we will move on to 9.1. So we have a request for decision on the Southwest Industrial Park surface contract with engineering coordinator Curtis.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. So in fall of 2022, we completed the underground construction for the Southwest Industrial Park, and now we're looking to move forward with surface improvements in 2023. We engaged Tagish Engineering out of Red Deer to design and tender this project. Tender closed on February 16th, and we received 6 bids, with Richardson Brothers out of Olds being the low bid. Tagish ran through a full evaluation of the tender. There weren't any issues, so it's our recommendation that we award this project to Richardson Brothers.
All right, thank you. Could I please have someone make the recommended motion?
I'd so move, Mayor Barclay, that council approves the award of the Southwest Industrial Park surface contract to Richardson Brothers of Olds Limited for $1,836,266.50 to be funded from the Land Acquisition Servicing Reserve.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Harrison. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Bates?
Yeah, the only question I have is with respect to the funding, do we have a feeling when we will get the details of the industrial park borrowing option and then subsequently replace the funds?
Yes, Mayor Barclay through to Councillor Bates. So CEO Becker and I just recently had a lunch meeting with Service Credit Union, and they talked about some of the services that they provide for projects like this. So I have reached out to them looking for more information. I'm hoping to have a report to you before the end of March to have something finalized.
Okay, no,
On whether or not we would go through, say, a line of credit through a traditional bank, or if we go through a traditional loan from the Alberta loans to local authorities.
okay, that was always the default, right? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And just a quick question. We're still within budget, right? Kind of the original, I think it was around $5.5 million, the
Very
original.
much so.
Yeah, okay.
The estimated on this was close to 2.3 million, so we're,
Yeah.
for the surface work portion at least, yeah, we're well under budget.
That's great. Okay, so all in favor of the motion? Okay, carried. Thank you. And we'll move on to 9.2 with the surface truck purchase.
All right. So currently we have a 2001 F-350 service truck. It's used for utility repairs, maintenance at the sanitary lift stations, and a few other things. This unit does have a small crane, but is of limited use due to its size. And so currently we use the backhoe for any other lifting of equipment or parts that the truck can't handle. We tried to replace this type of equipment within 20 years in order to keep the service and maintenance costs down, as it becomes difficult to find parts at that time. We issued a request for a quotation on January 10th on APC, Alberta Purchasing Connection, and it closed on January 25th. At that time, we had only received one quote from Red Deer Motors, which met the requirements for the truck that we were looking for, but was much older than what we were targeting. It was a 2008, and we were hoping to get something 2017 or newer. So following that, we reached out directly to a variety of suppliers, and we were in touch with Commercial Truck Equipment in Calgary, and they provided us a quote for a brand-new unit, which met all of our criteria. And we did get 3 other prices, but the commercial truck equipment was far and away the best price in the ones we got.
Okay, thank you. Could I please have someone make the recommended motion? Councillor Dunham.
Mayor Barclay, I'll move that council approves the purchase of the 2023 Ford F-550 service truck for $158,251 to be funded from the Public Works Equipment Reserve.
Perfect, thank you. And I just have to ask this, but is this something local could supply, or is this truck such a specialty item that?
Yes, it's a fairly specialty
Yeah, it
item.
looks special.
Typically, the local dealerships don't carry anything bigger than a 1-ton truck.
Okay.
The ones they do aren't always equipped with the needs that we have.
No, fair enough. Okay, any further questions, comments? Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I just have a question around the engine, and I know I'm getting into detail that I shouldn't be getting into, but our Pace Bus number 1 has a V10 in it, and I've heard rumors or accusations that is not a very good engine. They've been having a lot of issues with the V10. Question that I have is this a V10 that's going to be in this truck? And because I don't know how long that Pace Bus has been down, but it's been a long time. So just a question that you may want to look at the size of the engine.
I'm actually going to look out to the gallery and ask Terry if he has any background on this engine.
We can wait. Da, 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 da. No.
The 7.3 liter is a V8.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you. Doesn't sound good. Okay. All in favor of the motion? Okay, carried. Then we'll move into 9.3, request for decision on loader backhoe purchase with Curtis again.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. So, in replacing vehicles, our 2009 Cat 420E loader backhoe is one of our most frequently used pieces of equipment, shared between all 3 departments, and the one we have now has been fully rebuilt once before. So we went again on January 10th onto APC to look for pricing for a replacement backhoe loader, and we closed on February 1st. We received 2 quotes that met the requirements and the criteria for the equipment we were looking for, and the 2023 310 SL John Deere was is the better of the 2 options in our opinion, so that's our recommendation on that one.
All right, thank you. Can I please have someone make the recommended motion?
I'd so move, Mayor Barclay. The council approves the purchase of the John Deere 2023-310 SL from Brant Red Deer for the purchase price of $205,795 to be funded from the Public Works Equipment Reserve.
All right, thank you, Councillor Harrison. How about delivery on these, Curtis? How long does it take?
It's 2 weeks.
Oh, that's quick. Okay.
It would be just a matter of kind of a fit and finish, and the other part with that is that with the attachments that we have, as far as we have a river shank that's on it, and we also have a whole pack that is on it. Also with John Deere, what they had planned on doing for us with
perfect. Counselor Bates?
Yeah, the only question I have is, out of curiosity, when you do go to sell the old one, how do you do that? Because I would assume that a backhoe that's still maintained to our standards is probably worth quite a bit. Just curious how you sell it.
Typically, when we're getting rid of equipment, it goes to auction, same as Pace Bus or any of our other vehicles that we get rid of.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, the Pace Bus is next.
Sorry, you knew what I meant.
We did know what you mean, actually, so we're assuming the Pace Bus is next. Yeah, okay. All right, so all in favor of the motion? All right, carried. So, thank you, that was an expensive little section. Okay, we will move on to 10.1, and welcome Manager Shaw back.
Mayor and Council, this next item won't cost you any money, so we've had the public hearing with respect to this particular bylaw. What we're now before you is consideration of a second and third reading to be able to render a decision on the bylaw itself. Should Council make a decision, then we'll also notify the concerned citizen about this proposal and the outcome. So in the report, we did identify potential options that Council can consider with respect to the bylaw after the public hearing. So 3 options. One is you can table the bylaw, you can defeat the bylaw, or you could give bylaw 1470A77 second and third readings. Now, administration would recommend that you follow the third option and give the second and third readings to this particular bylaw so that it can be adopted.
Okay, thank you, Manager Shaw. Can I please have someone make the first recommended motion?
Mayor Barkley?
Yep.
I would move.
Yes.
Yes. I move that council give second reading to bylaw number 1470-A77 to address legal non-conforming uses within the residential single-family district R1A, the residential single-family district R1B, the residential multifamily district R3, and the residential transition district RT when they are substantially damaged above their foundations.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Manager Shaw? No? All in favor? Okay, carried. And please have someone make this next motion.
Sure, I'll make that motion, Mayor Barkley, that council gives third reading to bylaw number 1470-A77 to address legal non-conforming uses within the residential single-family district R-1A, the residential single-family district R-1B, the residential multifamily district R-3, and the residential transition district RT when they are substantially damaged over their foundations.
Okay, perfect. Any questions? No? All in favor? Okay. Thank you. And we will move on to 10.2, request for decision on the Kemp House lease.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. So we're looking to receive approval from council for entering into a lease agreement with Karen Scarlett for the lease of a portion of the Dr. George Kemp House for the use as an art studio. So the Kemp House currently has 2 tenants. The Innisfail Family Day Home Society is on the 2nd floor, and Pathways Counseling has a small room on the main floor. The space that Karen would be looking to utilize is the glassed-in porch on the east side of the main floor. In order to make this space lockable, essentially, from the rest of the main floor, we'd be looking to install 2 doorways with an estimated cost of about $1,000, with that work to be completed by facility maintenance staff. If you're familiar with the Kemp House, the 2 doorways that go into the porch are far less of a historic nature than some of the other doorways within the space, so we were comfortable with looking to install those doorways without damaging any of the original millwork that exists in the house. looking at a $250 per month rental rate. This is comparable to the Pathways Counseling rate and is a similar size space. And yeah, looking that it will increase the usage of the facility. Both existing tenants have been contacted about the potential use of that space, and no concerns have been expressed at this time. The use of the common main floor space, there's a kitchen area, a sitting room, and sort of a small meeting room that they utilize, would be coordinated between the tenants.
Okay, thank you, Director Jenkins. Can I please have someone make the recommended motion? Councillor Dono.
Mayor Barclay, I move that council authorizes entering into a lease agreement with Karen Scarlett for the lease of the space within the Dr. George Kemp House in general accordance with the attached lease agreement.
Okay, thank you. Question I have, and maybe you could do some research. So Dr. George and Kemp are two different people. So there's Dr. Henry George, who he and his wife built the house, and they sold it to William Kemp along the way. But it always gets referred to, so I'm wondering, like, whether, I don't even know what the sign says on the property, to be honest with you, at this point in time. But I'm wondering if there should be some kind of a distinction between the two names, and like whether it's George Dash Kemp or something, to kind of, because I think a lot of people think it's Dr. George Kemp, and it is not.
And I can look, the property is a designated provincial
Historic,
resource.
yeah, okay.
And yeah, I believe that there is sometimes a separation
Okay,
between the two.
yeah.
But I can see how it's named formally on the historical register.
Okay. Councillor Bates.
Well, I'll start off by saying guilty. I thought that's what, that's how the name went. The only question I have is, the lease is inclusive of utilities. We're not having to heat and light more than what we're doing now as far as the use of this?
No, and currently there's essentially no doorways onto that porch. It's just a free flow throughout the units. So that's, there shouldn't be any additional usage because of this.
Okay, any other questions? No? All in favor? Okay, carried. We'll go to 10.3, request for decision on the joint use and planning agreement with Red Deer Catholic School Division. Manager Shaw.
Mayor and council, earlier the town had entered into an agreement with Chinook Edge for the joint use of their premises and our premises. This one is following up with the Red Deer Catholic Separate School Division. Similar type of agreement, basically from what had previously been signed with the other school division. Municipalities are obligated to have an agreement with each school division by the end of June of this year. And so by doing this, we will have completed our obligation to have those agreements in place. So you have the recommendation before you is that we enter into the attached joint use and planning agreement with the Red Deer Catholic Separate School Division. The second motion is mute because you've already addressed it, but certainly the first one is that we're asking you to authorize us entering into the agreement.
Okay, thank you, Manager Shaw. Could I please have someone make the recommended motion?
Mayor Barclay, I would move that council authorizes entering into the attached joint use and planning agreement with Red Deer Catholic Separate School Division.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions about the agreement? No? Okay, all in favor then? Okay, carried. Thank you, Manager Shaw. And we will move on to 11.1, correspondence and information.
Don't you have another motion?
No, we did that already.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. If there's any there's no questions about the correspondence, so please have someone make a motion to accept as information.
I so move, Mayor Barkley.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, and then we will move into council committee reports, and we will begin with Councillor Harrison today.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. And again, a very quiet week committee-wise. And it looks like this week coming up is going to be very quiet, so I don't have much to report.
Okay, I'm going to go a little bit out of order here, so I'm going to go to Councillor Dunham, and then we'll swing back this way. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. For myself as well, a very quiet week last week, and coming up, not too much. Following week gets busier, but yeah, very quiet.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Maceras.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to my inaugural meeting with the Heritage Village, the Historical Village this week. So I've still got holiday brain, sorry.
Right, you're forgiven. And Councillor Bates. Oh, yeah, I'm going out of order, I guess. Sorry.
So fairly quiet. Last week I did have a short MPC meeting. It's interesting because as we all sat down, we realized it was our first one in 3 months. And to me, that's a bit of an indication of the economy and the activity that isn't happening. And this week I have the short EFL presentation to look forward to and the Alberta budget dissection.
All right, thank you. And Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Yes, I also attended the MPC meeting last Wednesday. Last Thursday, I attended the Parkland Regional Library Board meeting. Probably one of the largest items on the agenda for the last little while has been the uncertainty around, and we saw it on our requisition, the population numbers for each community. And so we've had several communities come forward and ask that the operating agreement be opened so that there could be some different language inserted there. Currently, our requisition is based on numbers coming from municipal affairs. This last year, the government of Alberta made a change and said, no, we'll be using Treasury Board numbers, but they're different, which makes no sense at all. However, the board decided that we would just wait around making a decision until after the election to see if there's any sort of major change that comes from there. And then this week coming forward brings Innisfail Public Library Board, the Energy Futures Lab, Learning Journey, and Alberta Municipalities webinar on the budget.
Okay, thank you. So last week had a couple of CAPE meetings. The posting went out today, I believe, for the executive director position with CAPE, and had South Central and Central Alberta Mayors Group. We had a meeting together last week at the Innisfail Golf Course. And this week, tomorrow, I will be attending Budget 2023 in Edmonton, and then taking part in Budget Town Hall with Minister Schultz on Wednesday morning, and Sean Collins with the Energy Futures Lab Learning Journey as well. And then, of course, Alberta Muni's budget webinar on Wednesday afternoon, so should be well budgeted by the time that's all over. And I think that's all I have for now. So we will move on to upcoming events. I'll just have somebody accept this, make a motion to accept this as information, please.
I'll move to accept this as information, Mayor Barkley.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? All right, thank you.
I'd just like to say I appreciate having a longer list on here.
That's
Thank
a
you
long
for
list,
doing
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And then we'll have a motion to go in camera, please.
Mayor Barkley, I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?